Hello, we're live. And I'm very curious of if you ever get tired of other coaches getting all the clients when you know that you have so much to offer, you have so much to give, and if they would just work with you, then they would see how valuable your work is. and then you feel like nobody really values your work and they really don't want to pay for it. Well, today I'm talking about the number one thing that you need in place for people who want to pay you thousands of dollars for your work. And spoiler alert, there's actually two things, but I really want to hear from you which one of these two things I'm going to be sharing in a moment you think is more valuable, which one you struggle the most with, and which one you want more support on from me for a really cool, epic podcast episode that I am going to be creating. So, first of all, let me just go ahead and share this so that I can reach more of my peeps. And while I'm doing that, okay. Oh my goodness. This is my first time sharing on my iPad. I'm like trying to be super smart and use my iPad. And I wish you guys could see this setup that I have right now because it's pretty cool. So I'm using Steve's like giant tripod, which is like really, really heavy. Like seriously, when I took it to record workshops that I led, it was like lugging it through the parking lot. It was like, oh, okay. So I've got this giant tripod set up, right? And then I've got a music stand that I use sometimes for notes when I'm leading workshops. I got that set up and I got my iPad on it with like just a couple bullet points. And so it's like this huge rigging setup. I should take a picture of this and post it afterwards because you can't see it, but it's kind of hilarious. Okay. So who am I and why does this even matter if you listen to me, right? So my name is Adria DeCourt, in case you don't know yet, and I have a podcast called Unforgettable. And one of my big passions is helping coaches to get clear on what it is they do and really how to communicate that so that their ideal clients see the value, so they know why they need them, they want to pay them, and they get that nice full client load coming in and we're actually helping the people that they set out to help, right? Because I think that's what we really want when we're sitting here and we're like, okay, I can't get clients and it's so frustrating. Usually it all comes back to the fact that we got into this business to help people. We didn't necessarily, if we're coaches, right? We didn't necessarily get in because we're like, oh my God, I want to rake in the money. Like maybe we got in because we wanted some freedom in our lifestyle, right? With our family or the way we structure our day, or we wanted to be the boss. But likely if you're a coach, you have a really deeper mission behind your work. So it's like reaching those people, right? All right. I see we've got Cher. Yay. Cher is my work wife, my right-hand lady. And the podcast episode I'm releasing this week, she actually is interviewing me, and so a little tidbit for you there. Grace, you're asking, where do you actually live on? What are you doing the actual live on? Oh. So this is great. Okay. Good question. So stay tuned because I am going to be sharing with you. Actually, you know what? Why don't I just get right into it? Okay. So we're talking about the number one thing you need for people to pay you thousands. And if you saw the beginning of this live, I said there's actually kind of two things. And I want to hear from you which one of these things you need more support in, which one of these things you think is more important. So let me lay this out right now. And if you're watching right now, post in the comments whether you're a coach. So like write the word coach if you're a coach. If you're not a coach, write not a coach. I just want to see like who we've got in this room live. And even if you're watching the replay, I always come back around and reply and kind of like see what you're saying. I read everything because you guys are important to me. You know, it's hilarious. So you know how I mentioned my giant setup that I've got? Well, this is very new for me. I don't record on my iPhone, even though I have an awesome iPhone 7 that Steve got for me. And so today with this magical monster rig that I've got going. I'm recording on my iPhone, which means that I've got like the video facing me, and I keep looking at myself in the video rather than looking at you guys. I'm so sorry. I care about you. I can't help myself. Okay, I'm gonna keep looking at you. I'm talking to you. Okay. So Grace says she's a coach. Awesome. Yes, I know that because we work together. So I kind of suspected you were gonna say that. All right. So two things. The first one is, okay, so let me preface this first. Remember, we're talking about like how you're laughing at me. I love it. Laughter and hearts. Okay. Okay, sorry. I have to go on a little bit of a side soapbox here for a moment, because one of the things that I came back from Marketing Impact Live with Chalene Johnson, her conference a couple weeks back. One of the things I came back from there realizing was that I'm a personal brand, and I have a really hard time kind of merging me and like my personal interests and who I am and all these different like little pieces with the advice I give to you and with the guidance I give to you. And I really want us to be close. I want you to know me really well. And I want us to, I just, like, relationships are so important to me, and connection is so important. And I've had a really hard time bringing in my personal world. Even though obviously you can see my energy, I get really excited, and you could probably like I'm kind of weird and silly, and you get that from how I talk. So these are, as I'm talking, these are all like tips for you, right? Because I talk about being unforgettable. So this is all relevant to the two things I'm going to be sharing in just a moment, FYI. All right. So I've had this, oh, thank you, Grace, for saying I'm high vibe and amazing. So I'm able to bring that energy forward, but I've really struggled to bring in my interests and to talk about personal things, because I'm so worried that you guys are going to be like, well, just get to the content, get straight to it. Stop talking about yourself. Stop bringing in interesting things. Stop like being cute. And so I keep worrying about that. And then I end up stripping out all of the specialness that would set me apart from other people. So for example, I'm recording in a different place. I don't think I've ever recorded from this wall of my office before, from in front of it. And so if you look behind me, I happen to have some air plants that I have on my wall and some crystals. And these are kind of my jam. Like, I have an obsession with air plants. Steve's mom ended up getting me, actually both of these things, like all this stuff for Christmas, because she's super generous, and that's lovely. Thanks for saying you like the backdrop, Grace. And I kind of love it because I'm a plant nerd. And you may not know this about me, but a couple of careers ago, I was a botanist, and I'm still super plant nerdy. So I get like really into plants, especially like plants that you have to spray with water and like, or soak their leaves and don't get the roots wet. Like, it's super nerdy and exciting for me. So those are the little things about me that probably set me apart from other people who are saying similar things about standing out from other people in your industry, is like who I am, and how do I bring that in, and how do I let you get known by me. So that brings me to point number one, which in terms of this, like I'm talking about what you really need in place so people will pay you thousands of dollars. Number one is being irreplaceable. If you are the only one for the job, then people will pay the money to work with you, right? So this, like, it's not silly, this idea that we want to have, like, bring pieces of ourselves into our work and into when we're getting visible and when we're getting out there into the world. Like, it's not selfish. It's not, what's the right word I'm looking for? It's not being like vain, right? And I feel a little silly today, I have to admit. Like, I hope this isn't rubbing. I have a little microphone. I'm like trying to since I'm a podcaster, audio is king. So I'm trying to like up my audio while I'm doing videos, and I'm like doing all these different things. And so, yeah, I like those little things. I mean, unless you go into a total tangent and you're never talking about what you're talking about and you never get to the point and then nobody feels like you're providing value, like all those little things are kind of cool. And all those little things are what start to set you apart and start to make you irreplaceable. So I'm going to see what Grace says right now. She says, does this convert? Like you appreciate nurturing, growing things and people. Oh, interesting. I love your little correlation that you got going on there, Grace. That, hey, I like to nurture plants, and I also like to nurture people. And in my past life, I would have loved to try to connect all that stuff and be super clever. But as you know, I'm all about being clear over being clever. And so these are super cool, interesting details, but I don't need to try to weave them together. I can just be. Cool. So she says, yes, and I never heard it quite like this before. Exactly. Sweet. Okay. So yes, so that is number one. That's number one, which is that being irreplaceable, because then people choose you. There's no price shopping if you're the only one for the job because they love you and they care about you and they want your brain. Like in my instance, they want my brain on their business, right? Like they want to hear what I have to say about their niche, or they want to hear what I'm going to weigh in with when it comes to like how they talk about what they do, or whether it's valuable, or when they're creating their offering or their package, their coaching package. Like they've built a relationship with me. So me having a podcast, you're building a relationship. If you ever listen to Unforgettable, you kind of have a sense of me. If you ever watch any of these videos that I'm doing lately, you have a sense of me, right? Hey Chanel, glad you are joining us live. Awesome. Okay, so I'm really curious for those of you who are watching live or you're watching the broadcast, because remember, I come back around and I check all comments and I reply and engage because I love building these relationships with you. I'm curious for you, what's resonating from what I'm saying. I'm really interested in what's landing. Okay, so that was number one, right? Number one in the what people will pay you thousands for. And remember how I said that there's actually not one number one thing, there's two number one things. And I'm curious for you to weigh on which one you want to know more about and get more support on. This is kind of like a showdown between the two top areas that I see. So the number two thing is talking about what you do. It's making your work seem valuable. So this is where we talked about number one being that you're standing out, that you're irreplaceable, that they're choosing you specifically. Number two is my big jam that I love to talk about all the time, that often it's not so much what you do as how you talk about it that matters. So this is more so for me, for example, I love to help people with clarity around their niche, to help them figure out what it is they do, to help them figure out, what their offering should be, how to make this all valuable and powerful. But if I talk about it in terms of, in really general terms, or really flowery or clever, or if I do what Grace was saying and I try to connect and be oh, so I'm a plant person, I'm a total plant nerd, and with my background in botany, with all the air plants I was talking about, and so what I like to do is I like to nurture, or I nurture coaches so that they can find their authentic voice. And it's hard for me to even say something that's really flowery and fluffy. But if I kind of talk about it in that way, and I know if you've watched any of my videos, listened to any of my podcast episodes, this is not new for you. But if I talk about it in a way where it's hitting on exactly what you're thinking, then that is a big difference. For example, if I'm creating an offering, so I'm creating my coaching package, and I decide to create my coaching package, and I say, okay, well, we're going to be coaching, and we're going to be talking about, what you like, all your interests, and I'm going to help you move through all the limiting beliefs and blocks you have around your business, and I'm going to it's just, but if I say, okay, so I have this coaching package, and we both know that the clients aren't coming to you, and even if you talk about your work at a networking event, they don't value what you do, so they're not paying for it. If I say that and okay, so my coaching package is actually set up to help you to, first of all, figure out what it is they want and how to talk about it in the way that they want, so that you can sell them what they want, and they're so much more likely to want to hire you and pay for that. They actually might get excited because you're connecting what you do to the problem that they want solved. So if I talk about it that way, it's just shifting the way I'm talking about it. It's not shifting my actual package. If I talk about it that way, then it's so much easier to sell, right? And I can charge a lot more money because I'm solving something that's urgent, versus me just being, once again, price shopping. They have to choose me because I'm the one who's dealing with what it is that they need. And so these are those two things that honestly, I think they work hand in hand. And that's what I do in my program, Get Clear, Get Clients. That's what I do with, my private clients is these two in tandem of how are you becoming irreplaceable so people want you, and how are you talking about your work and positioning it so that people really want to pay those dollars for it, right? So I do those together. But I'm really curious for you who is watching, which of these two things you struggle with the most? Which one do you want more support on? Because like I mentioned in the beginning of this, I'm going to be doing a monster podcast episode on one of these. I want to go deeper, and I want to choose something that you want. So if you're watching, go ahead and in the comments, write a 1 if you really want me to go deeper into this whole concept of being irreplaceable, of having you be a standout coach that people really just want to choose you, and they don't really care. There's you're basically eliminating the competition. The competition's irrelevant because they want you. So put a number 1 in the comments if you want me to talk more about that on this monster podcast episode that I am creating. And then put a number 2 in the comments if you want me to be diving deeper into talking about what you do, making your work seem valuable, maybe even how to create a coaching package that people really want to pay thousands of dollars for. Put a number 2 if that's what you really need right now. And if you need both, you can put 1 and 2. I don't care. It's okay. And remember, I go back around. So even if you're watching the replay, I really want to see what you need. I want to see your numbers in the comments because I only want to create what people want. So it makes sense if I were to weigh in with you guys and get your feedback on what you want that to be, so I don't just create randomly whatever I want to create. So Grace says, ooh, that's a tough choice, probably number 2. Grace, I'm really curious, why number 2? And for anyone else who is posting, I would love to hear beyond 1 and 2. If you just do 1 and 2, that's totally fine. Number 1 is being irreplaceable, and number 2 is talking about what you do so it's valuable, so it's perceived as valuable. Okay, or even creating an offering. That's something I could do too, is creating an offering that people want to pay thousands of dollars for. That could be part of number 2. So if you put the numbers, that's fine. But if you want to give me a little bit extra of what you're struggling with within that and what you would really like support on, that's totally awesome too. It'll help me create something even better, personalized to you. All right. So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for helping me choose. Thank you so much for showing up live or for watching the replay. This has been super fun. And I just want to say, a little bit of a soapbox again before I jump off. I love, this was really fun for me. And you know what I did differently, because this might be a lesson for you, is I didn't worry about going on soapboxes. I didn't worry about whether my backdrop was perfect, because I noticed now it's not perfect. I didn't worry about like not sharing things about myself. Like I felt a little self-conscious about this microphone that I've got here, which is giant. And I was like, maybe I should research how to clip it in better or something. But I was like, no, I'm just going to go live. It's going to be fine. Right? Like I'm taking imperfect action and I'm bringing in just, myself. And so I talked about the airplanes. I talked about me being a botanist. I talked about like all these little things. And you can give me a little bit of love if you like that, if you found that was useful and valuable for you, and not distracting, because I want to know. I want that positive reinforcement. I need it. Thank you. I see the love. See all the love. Yeah. All right. So that's one thing that I did. So that's good for you to realize, right? That you can start practicing bringing yourself in already. And like using all that personalness to connect, but not getting off track, still giving them what they need and what they want to hear so that they keep showing up because they know you're providing value. But then as they keep showing up, you're deepening that relationship and you're showing who you are as you're going, right? And then I want to say also, that's another piece of what I did differently today that made it feel so much better was that I'm standing. And if you're anything like me and you have a lot of energy and you need to move your body a lot, standing has really helped me ground, because I don't know if you noticed, because I'm really handsy when I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, my hands are like all, I'm like, I'm like all over the place. And so when I stand, this is something actually my friend, shout out to Holly Shaw, fabulous coach for actors and performers. So this is something she actually helped me. When I'm standing, I'm like grounded into my knees. And it helps me to kind of like control all of this. And so there's somewhere for, like, I can channel it better. So this is something that brings my energy up, is standing. So whatever brings your energy up and allows you to be you, do it. And then the last thing that I'll say about that, a little insights that I got from today and some things I changed up about this live, is that I didn't really have notes. I mean, I had like some bullet points. Like, let me show you. I don't know if you can see. It's really glary. There's a window in front of me. But I had some bullet points and some like main things I wanted to share. So I had like, I had how I wanted to start it. I had like the basics that I wanted to be sharing with you, the call to action that I wanted you guys to do for me, which is like leaving in the comments below your 1 or your 2. But I had a lot looser structure, which kept me somewhat organized. I'll get better at this, trust me. But it also allowed me to be me a little bit more, which felt a lot easier, I'll tell you that. Okay, so I could talk to you guys forever. I'm like so good at being on the soapbox. I could talk forever. But I'm going to have to finish this live so that I can move on to the rest of my day, so I don't just like do like a 3-hour live just sitting here talking to you, which would be fun. I would love it. But I got projects to do. I got something really big coming up in March that I'm working on, so a little teaser for you, which what you decide on this is like really going to influence. All right. So that is it. Go ahead and leave number 1 if you struggle more with standing out and being the irreplaceable only you person. And if you're just jumping in right now, you can watch the replay and rewind a little bit back so that you can hear what I'm talking about and you can weigh in, because this is going to be a big deal for you. Or leave number 2 if you want more support on like making your offerings and your coaching packages seem more valuable and making your work kind of be positioned as higher value. All right. Thank you so much for your feedback and for playing with me on this. And I feel really jazzed up. So I'm going to go get to the next piece of my day. All right. Bye.